"He's picking me up tonight," my wife announced. Her face turned pale the instant I answered. That evening began just like any typical night at home. But in a matter of minutes, my whole marriage unraveled in a manner I never saw coming. Strangely enough, everything shifted because of one simple remark she made so lightly, as though it carried no weight at all. "He's picking me up tonight." My name is Ethan Cole. I'm 36 years old, and up until that instant, I believed I had a firm grasp on my existence. I believed I had a solid understanding of my relationship, yet sometimes reality shows up without any signal. Sometimes it strolls right into your living space, disguised as something completely ordinary. My wife Natalie and I had shared 9 years of marriage. We weren't the type of pair that others admired from afar. We never posted flawless photos or jetted off to extravagant getaways. Still, we felt solid, or so I convinced myself. During the last several months, a subtle shift had crept in. Natalie grew more withdrawn, not furious, not icy, simply elsewhere in her mind. She laughed less often, spoke less freely, and stayed glued to her phone far more than before. Initially, I brushed it aside. People experience off periods, don't they? Yet gradually the little clues piled higher. Messages arriving late at night. Extended work conversations, outings in the evening that never fully added up. Even so, I avoided bringing it up directly because a part of me feared the truth. Until that particular evening, I walked through the door just past 7. The air carried a heavy scent of fragrance, more intense than normal. That struck me first. The second thing was Natalie herself. She stood by the hall mirror, fiddling with her earrings. Her outfit stood out, refined, deliberate. The sort of attire reserved for special occasions, not an average night. I rested against the doorway and observed her quietly. "Heading out?" I asked. She didn't spin around right away. She adjusted one last strand of hair. Then she met my eyes in the reflection and gave a smile, a composed, self-assured one. "He's picking me up tonight," she stated plainly. For a second I wondered if I'd heard wrong. She faced me fully, smile still in place. "Yes," I paused, waiting. Hoping she'd chuckle and call it a prank. She didn't. Instead, she reached for her handbag. "He booked a table," she mentioned offhandedly. The atmosphere grew unnaturally still. "Who's he?" I pressed. Natalie cocked her head a little. "Does that really matter?" That was the instant everything inside me moved, because what I saw wasn't uncertainty or remorse. It was absolute assurance. She wasn't seeking my approval. She was simply telling me. I moved one step nearer. "You're married, Natalie," she gave a small shrug. "I'm aware." "Then explain what you just told me." She let out a slow breath as though exhausted by the topic already. "Ethan, we've both noticed things aren't like they used to be." I fixed my gaze on her. "That doesn't give you the right to date someone else." Her smile returned, but this time it carried a chill. "It's only a meal." I nearly let out a bitter laugh. "Nobody dresses up like that for only a meal." She closed the distance between us. Her tone softened just a touch. "You're making too much of it." "No," I responded evenly. "I believe I'm finally understanding the situation." The quiet stretched between us. Neither spoke. Then she uttered words that squeezed my chest. "You ought to simply let it go." Let it go as though it were ordinary, as though it made perfect sense. As though I should stand by silently and allow it. For a second I stayed wordless, and that was when she committed her greatest error. She mistook my quiet for frailty. She assumed I'd respond the same way I always did, measured, compliant, foreseeable. But Natalie had no idea why I'd stayed silent so long. Several months back, I'd begun registering details she assumed escaped me. The midnight messages, the abrupt shifts in her schedule, the way her face lit up at her screen, but never for me. So I chose a straightforward approach. I observed closely, not frantically, just attentively. Gradually, the full image emerged. The person she messaged wasn't merely a colleague. He was someone she'd been involved with for weeks, possibly more. I held back from accusing her then because certainty mattered. Once certain, I chose my path. I refused to plead or fight. I refused to chase. I decided to get ready, silently. So when Natalie declared that evening, "He's picking me up tonight," I failed to deliver the outburst she anticipated. Instead, I offered a relaxed, even smile, and that was when her face altered, only a fraction. "What?" she asked. I drew in air slowly. Then I delivered the single line that flipped the entire scene. "Fine," I answered. "Go ahead and enjoy yourself." Her smile vanished. "What?" I rested back against the wall, utterly at ease. "Have a pleasant evening." She stared, bewildered, wary. "That's all?" she questioned. "That's all?" The certainty in her gaze began to fracture, because this response shattered her expectations. No fury, no yelling, no pleading, just composure. Then I continued. "Only be sure to return before morning." Her forehead creased. "Why?" And that was when I delivered the blow. "Because come tomorrow morning, this won't be your home anymore." The space turned utterly still. Her expression transformed in an instant. All color vanished from her cheeks. "What are you saying?" I moved past her, lifted my phone from the table. "I submitted the divorce petition last week," I stated without emotion. Her eyes grew large. "You're bluffing." I shook my head. "I'm not." I opened my inbox and angled the screen toward her. Official paperwork, legally binding, concluded. Her fingers trembled faintly. You can't just do that. It's already done." The boldness she'd worn all night evaporated, replaced by something different, alarm, dread. "You're blowing this out of proportion," she rushed to say. "It was only dinner." I met her eyes. "Then you should have had no issue leaving." She parted her lips, yet nothing emerged. Because somewhere inside, she recognized the reality. This went beyond a single meal. It concerned a boundary she'd already violated long before. I stepped nearer. "My attorney possesses all the evidence," I murmured. "Conversations, timelines, proof." Her breaths grew shallow and irregular. "You were monitoring me." "No," I corrected. "I was simply noticing." The quiet that settled afterward felt denser than any words exchanged. For the first time that evening, Natalie appeared uncertain. Because her entire assurance rested on one conviction, that I'd never walk away. And now that conviction had collapsed. She never left the house that night. The elegant dress remained. The makeup stayed flawless. But the self-assurance had vanished, replaced by the understanding that certain decisions leave permanent marks. Several weeks afterward, the documents received final approval. No explosive clashes. No heated shouting matches. Merely a subdued conclusion. The sort that arrives once respect has vanished entirely. And occasionally I reflect on that precise instant, the instant she smiled confidently and declared, "He's picking me up tonight." She believed she held all the power. She believed victory was already hers, but she failed to grasp a basic truth. The second someone expects you to tolerate disrespect is the precise second you cease tolerating them.